Hello everyone, I'm Trevor Hilson, your Positive Muskegon Kids Beat reporter, and I'm here today with Bob Scolnik.
Well, good morning.
Good morning. Alright, so let's get right into it here. Where were you born?
I was born in Albany, New York, so I'm a ways from home.
What was it like growing up in the Big Apple?
Well, Albany's not exactly the Big Apple. Albany is the capital of New York State, but it's about, I don't know, maybe 130 miles from New York City. My brother lived in New York for many years, and we used to visit there regularly. And I love New York. I love New York City. I still like to, we usually go about once a year. And I don't know if I'd want to live there, but it's very cool to visit.
I read in your bio on Scolnik.com that you were in the Army. What was it like, and do you have a special memory from the experience?
I love the Army. You know, there's an interesting story how I got in the Army. Back, I joined the Army I actually went on active duty in January of 1967. The Vietnam War was going on. There was a draft. Do you know what a draft is? Mm-hmm. Okay. And I had dropped out of graduate school, and had I not joined, they would have drafted me, and I would have had to go. And which would have been okay, except that then you have no choice. So they send you wherever they need somebody. So I had enough of school. I have a degree in economics. I went to graduate school. Didn't want to go to school anymore. So I decided to join the Army. Probably wasn't the brightest thing I ever did, but it was really, I'm glad I did it. I joined, I went through basic training, advanced infantry training, then because I was a college graduate, they let me go to officer candidate school, and I became an officer. And I was in for a total of 4 years. I was a transportation corps officer, and probably the coolest thing I did when I was in the Army, because I was involved with aircraft maintenance and Army aviation, there was a new helicopter that had come out. It was called a C model Chinook. It's that giant helicopter they got with 2 rotors, one in the front, one in the back.
Okay.
So they sent me, I was stationed in St. Louis. They sent me to Pennsylvania, which is east, to an Army base and I got on an airplane full of spare parts for that new model helicopter. It was a C-130, which is a 4-engine propeller plane, and flew to Vietnam in that. I was the only person on the plane, just me and the parts. And then this was what was cool. It took a week because the plane was so slow. Oh. It was only went around maybe 200 miles an hour, and it could only fly until you had to stop for fuel. So we stopped in Texas, we stopped in San Francisco, we stopped in Hawaii, we stopped in Guam, we stopped in Midway, we stopped in the Philippines. And every time you stopped, a lot of times you had to stay overnight because they had to sleep. So it was super cool. Anyway, so I get to Vietnam, unload the parts. They gave me a gun, and I had to sit on the runway with the parts until the right people came, because everybody was just taking stuff. So I sat on that runway for 2 days until the people. It was just super cool. I don't know. I liked it, and then it took me about 2 weeks to get home. So anyway, that's what I did. I spent that time. I was in Vietnam just for a little time, and I was in Korea for 13 months.
Interesting.
And now I'm here with you in my office.
What brought you to Muskegon, and what has kept you here?
What brought me to Muskegon was, my last year in the Army. I had been in Korea for 13 months. Then I got orders to go to Grand Rapids. And I did not know where Grand Rapids was. I'd never heard of it. Had to look on a map. Okay, I'm going to Grand Rapids for a year. Um, So I was an advisor to the Army Reserve in West Michigan, which included Grand Rapids, Muskegon, I don't remember where else, I think Kalamazoo, Traverse City, I'm not sure, I don't remember, but, and I met my wife there. So we ended up getting married, and I started a business in Muskegon. That's how I ended up here.
Nice.
Yeah.
Why did you decide to try and run for county commissioner?
Well, I've owned businesses here all my life, and I kind of I was just interested in helping, getting involved in the community. And I ran for city council in Norton Shores, and I got elected. And I was on the city council for a little over 10 years, and there was an opening. I run as a Republican. Sorry, your dad is a Democrat, but he can't help it. There was a long time commissioner who was a Republican, Jeff Funkhauser. He lost an election to Tony Malanciotis, so as a Democrat. So there was a Democrat in the seat. I had been on the council, as I said, for about 10 and a half years, and I thought, okay, here's an opportunity to run for the next, sort of the next level. And I ran, and I was successful.
What does a county commissioner do?
The county commissioners basically set policy for the county. We set budgets, sort of make rules that apply. We don't have anything, we really don't get involved in operations. So that means, I don't tell the clerk or the treasurer how to do their job. We set their budgets, but we just generally oversee how the entire county runs, but we don't actually run it. We hire people to run it. The only actual person we hire is the county administrator. So, and the elected officials, like the prosecutor and the clerk and the sheriff, their jobs are all laid out in the state constitution, and we are mandated to give them the resources to do what they have to do. So, I don't know, it's a super interesting job. The county's budget, our general fund budget's only, when I say only, it's still pretty big, it's about $47 million. But the overall budget for the whole county is about $250 million.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot. But most of it we have very little control over, because a lot of it is just, it's grants, and it's things that, it isn't money we just decide what to do with. So, but it is interesting. I am in my 8th term, so each term is 2 years. So not at the end of next year, it will be 16 years that I've been a commissioner. So I've been in politics for 25 years now.
Wow, that's awesome. What is Mona Lake Productions?
Mona Lake Productions, I owned businesses all my life. So I owned Muskegon Brake and a number of other related companies, and I sold those about 20 years ago and retired. But I decided, this was maybe 10 years ago, that I wanted to do music, concerts, and concerts weren't coming to Muskegon, at least the things that I liked. Which would be more popular music, older music, I don't know, 50s, 60s music, ABBA, the Supremes, stuff that you probably don't like. So I decided that I'm going to do concerts. I'd never done one, and I did some research, had what to do and everything, and I booked a group, and I rented the Frauenthal, and I produced, for 8 years, I produced about 30 concerts.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was fun, but that was 10 years ago, and then like I said, I did it for about 8 years, and then I pretty much haven't done those type of events anymore. And the reason is, not because I didn't like doing it, it's just, it is really hard to do. And it's hard to get people to buy tickets. I have been producing New Year's Eve shows, sort of dinner shows. You should come to one of those.
Is it fun?
You like champagne?
Oh boy.
No. So anyway, that's, Mono Lake Productions was a production, produced musical shows and organized events, and I'm still doing some of that. I'm helping produce a show actually in a month, September 23rd, to benefit Family Promise. That's an agency that helps homeless families. And I'm doing a tribute to John Denver. Do you know who John Denver is?
I think I've heard of him. Not sure.
Okay, he's great. But John Denver was popular, it's been quite a few years. He died in an accident. But I've got a guy who is really good at his music. And we're gonna do a benefit for Family Promise in their building. Tickets are $20. All that money will go to help provide homes, and not just homes, but like a homeless shelter for homeless people, or homeless families. But it's more than that, because it helps get them on their feet. It helps them. They learn about budgeting. They learn about helping with job resumes, finding a job, finding a place to live. They have a really high success rate, so I'm excited about this. It's cool.
That's good. That's good. With Family Promise, this goes into my next question. I see that you're very community oriented. What events and/or organizations are you associated with?
Well, the current one is this one. I mean, it's not a gigantic event, but it's we're hoping to raise, I don't know, $5,000, $6,000, $8,000. That's not a huge amount of money, but pretty a lot that'll help a small agency. But that's just one thing. I'm sort of random. I'm not involved with Family Promise normally, but their executive director is a friend of mine, and I'd like to help them. I am involved in a major way in the Boys and Girls Club, and we have produced a major event at my house. I live on Mono Lake. We do their Great Futures Gala, and I love the Boys and Girls Club. And last year, in my backyard, in one night, we raised over $200,000.
Wow.
Yeah, I wish I had the $200,000.
That's incredible.
That is incredible. That probably won't happen again, but it happened once and it was super cool. We're doing the event again next year. It's in May, and but those are a couple of the bigger. Those are the big things I'm involved in anymore. Over the years, I've been involved in many nonprofits. I just love doing that stuff. But as I've gotten older, it's really it's time for the next generation to take over.
Finally, I went to see you in Mary Poppins in early May. Is there more theater in your future?
Well, that was my debut show, and I had planned on it being my last show. It was my first and last show. I had a very small part, but it was fun, and I loved the play. You saw it?
Yeah, I went.
Wasn't it good?
It was good. It was good.
Did your whole family see it?
Yep.
Did they all like it? They all liked it?
They all liked it.
Did you like it when Bert walked up the wall?
That was awesome.
That was super cool, wasn't it?
That was really good.
But I am, I wish I could tell you the exact date. It's in November, but I am in my second show. I know, that was my reaction. I'm in a show called I Never Saw Another Butterfly, and it'll be at the community college. Really, I play a rabbi, and I get to marry somebody, and but I don't have to remember any lines because I read everything, so this is good. I didn't want to have to learn lines. That was the hardest thing for me. There were two things that were hard. One was learning the lines, and the second thing was figuring out when to go on stage. I know it sounds stupid, but it's not that easy, because you sort of have to know what's happening and exactly when to walk out. And can I thank somebody?
Yeah.
Okay, I'd like to thank one of my co-stars, not that I was a star, but it's funny, in Mary Poppins, my friend Helen Sherman, who stood by me when it was my time to go out and told me to go out on stage because I didn't know. So anyway, this I Never Saw Another Butterfly is a fundraiser for Gilana's Fund, and Gilana's Fund is a fund set up for a young woman. She was in her mid-20s, who unexpectedly passed away and was the daughter of Rabbi and Alan and Anna Alper here in Muskegon. And she passed away, I can't remember exactly, maybe 10 years, 8, 9 years ago. And this fund is to promote just acceptance among people of all different beliefs. So I'll be doing that, but that's I'm pretty sure my last show.
All right. Thank you for taking the time to be part of this story, and thank you for everything you do for Muskegon.
Trevor, you're super cool. Thank you so
You're
much
welcome.
for doing this.
All right, guys, that's the interview with Bob Scolnik. I'm Trevor Hilson, your Positively Muskegon Kids Beat reporter. See you.